Welcome back to Tell Me More Stories Told as podcast. Are you ready for a story that's unbelievable and inspiring?
I am.
A journey that takes us from quiet villages in post-war Austria all the way to the dazzling lights of Hollywood and even the halls of political power. We are diving deep into the life of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, so fascinating.
He really is. He embodies this idea of pushing past limits.
He's not just one thing,
Right.
not just a bodybuilder or an actor or a politician.
Right, is all those things.
And defies expectations every step of the way.
So let's rewind to the beginning. Arnold Schwarzenegger was born in Thal, Austria in 1947, just 2 years after World War II ended.
That's a crucial detail. Imagine growing up in a country rebuilding itself after a war, trying to rebuild physically and psychologically. And his father, Gustav, was a police chief and former member of the Nazi Party.
Wow, that adds another whole layer of complexity to his upbringing.
It does.
His childhood wasn't exactly idyllic. He's spoken about strict discipline at home and wanting something bigger than his small-town surroundings.
And that's where his fascination with bodybuilding begins.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
At 15, he started lifting weights.
15.
Most teenagers are focused on school or friends or sports, but Arnold had this laser focus,
Yeah.
this dedication to sculpting his body. He saw bodybuilding as his ticket to a different life.
And it paid off. He wins Mr. Universe at just 20, the youngest person ever to do so at the time.
And then goes on to win Mr. Olympia 7 times.
7.
Becomes a legend in the bodybuilding world.
It wasn't just about physical strength for him, though, was it?
No, it was mental discipline,
Yeah.
pushing himself beyond what anyone thought was possible.
There's a story about him breaking into his local gym on weekends to train.
When it was closed,
That's how driven he was.
that's dedication.
But Austria was never going to be enough, was it?
No, he had his sights set on bigger things, bolder things.
America, the land of opportunity, was calling.
And he saw bodybuilding as his path to get there. He arrives in the U.S. in 1968, barely 21 years old, speaking very little English.
Can you imagine the guts it took to leave everything behind and chase this big dream?
I know.
Things weren't easy at first, were they?
No, he faced rejections in Hollywood. Casting agents told him his accent was too thick, his physique too unusual for mainstream movies.
But being Arnold, he refused to give up.
Oh, yeah. He takes acting lessons, works on his English, and keeps pushing forward.
And then comes Conan the Barbarian in 1982. This was his breakout role, establishing him as an action star.
And then, of course, the role that would define his career, the Terminator in 1984.
Did you know he was actually considered for the role of the Incredible Hulk?
Really?
Yeah.
But they thought he was too tall.
Too tall for the Hulk.
It's almost funny.
Well, it makes you wonder how different things might have been. But speaking of it different, Arnold's ambitions weren't limited to Hollywood. He had his eye on something even more unexpected: politics.
This global action star, known for his larger-than-life persona, is a lifelong Republican.
Really?
A lot of people were surprised, given the perceived liberal leanings of Hollywood.
That is surprising. He served as chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports under President George H.W. Bush.
But that was just the beginning.
He set his sights on something much bigger: the governorship of California.
It seemed like a long shot, especially considering he had no prior experience in elected office.
But then in 2003, the recall election happens. And against all odds, Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes the governor of California.
Wild.
A global celebrity known for one-liners and action movies suddenly thrust into state politics.
It was almost like something out of one of his films.
It was. Before we dive deeper into the governor years, why don't you hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss the rest of this incredible story?
He walked into a state with a massive budget deficit.
Yeah?
And a deeply divided legislature. This wasn't just about, flexing his political muscles. It was about navigating a complex web of interests and trying to find common ground.
And let's not forget his political stance. He described himself as fiscally conservative, but socially liberal.
A unique blend.
It was attracting both support and criticism from both sides.
It's an interesting paradox, isn't it? This action hero, often associated with traditional masculinity, championing environmental causes, pushing for renewable energy.
And emissions reductions.
Yeah.
He even drove a Hummer that was converted to run on hydrogen.
Oh, I remember that.
It definitely caught people's attention.
It did. But not all his efforts were met with success. Remember that special election he called in 2005?
To push through his reforms.
Yeah, all 4 of his ballot measures were defeated.
That must have been a tough blow. Especially with powerful state unions opposing him, outspending his campaign.
By a significant margin.
Yet he didn't back down.
Yeah.
He even appointed a Democrat, Susan Kennedy, as his chief of staff,
It showed a willingness to reach across the aisle.
to prioritize collaboration over partisan politics.
Exactly. And despite those setbacks, he persisted.
He won re-election in 2006 with a larger margin than before,
56% of the vote.
a landslide.
It was.
But even with these political victories, his personal life became a source of intense scrutiny.
And controversy.
The news of his infidelity and a child born out of wedlock with a member of their household staff,
It really shook his world, led to his separation from Maria Shriver
a prominent member of the Kennedy family.
in 2011, and a very public divorce process that wasn't finalized until 2021.
It's a reminder that even someone who seems larger than life, someone who has achieved incredible success, is still human,
And capable of making serious mistakes.
with lasting consequences.
It's true.
It raises the question, how do we reconcile those personal failings with his public achievements?
It's a complex question,
It is.
with no easy answers. How do we weigh the good against the bad?
Yeah, do his political achievements and his advocacy for important causes outweigh the harm caused by his personal choices?
It's a debate that continues to this day.
And then there's the debate about his steroid use during his bodybuilding career. He admitted to using them when they were legal.
Arguing they help to maintain muscle mass while dieting.
It's a nuanced issue.
It is. While his actions were within the rules of the sport at the time, the long-term health risks of steroid use were becoming increasingly clear.
It forces us to consider the ethical boundaries of performance enhancement.
And the pressures athletes face in competitive environments.
Regardless of one's stance on these controversies, there's no denying the impact he's had on multiple industries.
He revolutionized bodybuilding, became a global icon,
He dominated the action movie genre,
delivering one-liners that are now part of pop culture history.
and he shook up California politics, leaving a lasting mark on the state.
Even after leaving office, he's remained a vocal advocate for environmental protection,
And climate change action,
using his platform to raise awareness and push for solutions.
even if it means ruffling some feathers.
He's certainly never been afraid to speak his mind or take a stand on issues he believes in.
So what happens after the governor years? Does he just ride off into the sunset?
Not a chance. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger we're talking about. He's not one to rest on his laurels. He dives right back into the world he knows best.
Hollywood.
He returns as the Terminator in Terminator Genesis in 2015.
And again in Terminator. Dark Fate in 2019.
He also teams up with his old rival, Sylvester Stallone.
For the Expendables franchise.
And let's not forget his comedic roles.
Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Jingle All the Way family classics.
Hi, R.
He really does have a knack for self-aware humor, poking fun at his own image.
He does. But his post-political life wasn't just about movies.
Right. He continued his business ventures, real estate fitness ventures, and even co-owning Planet Hollywood at one point,
His estimated wealth is in the hundreds of millions.
if not billions of dollars.
But alongside his business pursuits, he's also dedicated time and resources to philanthropy. He's been a longtime supporter of the Special Olympics.
And has founded several charities focused on youth development and fitness.
He's used his platform to promote physical activity, healthy living, and environmental awareness.
Particularly among young people.
It's almost like he's on a mission to use his fame and influence to leave the world a little better than he found it.
It's an interesting turn for someone who was initially known for his physique and action hero persona. He's become a multifaceted figure, someone who defies easy categorization.
He's a bodybuilder, an actor, a businessman, a politician, a philanthropist, and an advocate.
He's constantly evolving
Reinventing himself.
and pushing beyond the boundaries of what people expect from him. So what's the takeaway from all of this? What can we learn from Arnold Schwarzenegger's extraordinary life?
He's made his share of mistakes,
Faced criticism and controversy,
but he's always bounced back
always striving to achieve more.
and used his platform for good.
I think his story teaches us about the power of self-belief, the importance of setting goals and relentlessly pursuing them.
Even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles.
It's about embracing challenges,
Yeah.
learning from failures, and never giving up on your dreams.
It's also about the importance of adaptability.
Recognizing when to pivot, when to embrace new opportunities, and when to reinvent yourself. He's never allowed himself to be defined by any single role or achievement. He's constantly pushing forward, exploring new territories, and using his unique experiences to make a difference in the world.
And let's not forget the importance of humor and self-awareness. He's never taken himself too seriously, which has allowed him to connect with people from all walks of life. He's a reminder that even amidst the seriousness of life, it's important to find moments of joy and laughter.
Before we wrap up this deep dive into the life and times of Arnold Schwarzenegger, remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next episode. We'll be back to explore the enduring legacy of this one-of-a-kind figure and discuss what he's been up to in recent years. We've seen Arnold conquer Hollywood, shake up California politics, and even dedicate himself to philanthropy. But his story doesn't end there.
No, it doesn't. In recent years, he's taken on a new role.
One that might surprise some people.
Yeah, those who still just see him as the Terminator or the Governor.
Right.
He's become a vocal advocate for climate change action.
It's an issue he's been passionate about for a long time.
For a while, yeah. Remember that hydrogen-powered Hummer?
I do. But he's really stepped up his efforts in recent years, speaking at international conferences, meeting with world leaders, using social media to raise awareness and urge action.
Yeah, and he's been particularly critical of world leaders who he feels aren't doing enough to address the climate crisis. He's even called out members of his own Republican Party.
For their denial of climate science.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from controversy, does he?
Not really. It's always been part of his persona, though. He's willing to speak his mind even if it ruffles some feathers. He's not afraid to challenge the status quo.
Even within his own political circles?
Exactly. It's a testament to his commitment to this issue.
He sees climate change as an existential threat.
And he's using his platform to try and make a difference. And he's not just talking about it. He's walking the walk.
He's adopted a more plant-based diet, invested in renewable energy companies, and continues to advocate for sustainable practices.
Trying to lead by example.
Showing that individual actions can make a difference.
A collective impact.
It's interesting to see how his focus has shifted over the years, from bodybuilding to Hollywood to politics, and now to environmental activism.
It really shows a capacity for growth and adaptation.
He's never been content to just stay in one lane, has he? Always pushing himself to learn to evolve and to use his experiences to make a positive impact on the world. So, what's next for Arnold Schwarzenegger? What does the future hold for this seemingly unstoppable force of nature?
It's hard to say, but knowing him, he's probably got a few more surprises up his sleeve. He's shown us time and time again that he's capable of anything he sets his mind to.
He's defied expectations, overcome obstacles, and reinvented himself multiple times throughout his life. He's a true icon, not just in the world of entertainment or politics, but as a symbol of human potential and the power of perseverance.
And his story, as improbable and extraordinary as it is, offers valuable lessons for all of us. It's a reminder that no matter where you come from, no matter what challenges you face, you can achieve incredible things if you dare to dream big, work hard, and never give up on yourself.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the life and times of Arnold Schwarzenegger. We hope you've enjoyed the journey and found inspiration in his remarkable story. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing your own boundaries.